Imagine walking into a room. You have no phone, no smartwatch, and no device. Still, there's a sense that the room knows you are there. It might sound like a plot from a detective show or a science fiction film. But the science behind this idea is very real, and not as new as you might think. The question many people have today is, can 5G networks track people, even when they don't have any device on them? It's a topic that brings up lots of worry and wild stories. Some people online even say 5G towers watch us like cameras. But the true story is much more interesting and far less scary than those rumors. This essay explores the real science of how wireless networks, like 5G, can sometimes sense people without needing our phones. We'll look at the history, explain how the technology works, and separate facts from fiction. Along the way, we'll also talk about the real risks to privacy and security. Let's start our journey into the invisible world of radio waves and see why it matters to all of us, whether we use a smartphone or not. Long before 5G, scientists and engineers discovered that radio waves could do more than just carry our calls or connect us to the internet. Even Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which many of us use every day, can tell if something is moving nearby. This is called RF sensing, and it has been around for years. Researchers realized that when a person walks between a Wi-Fi router and a laptop, the signal changes. The body blocks or reflects some of the waves, making it possible to see movement by just looking at the signal's strength. Early experiments even used Wi-Fi to count how many people were in a room or detect someone falling down, with no camera at all. Bluetooth works in a similar way, though it has a shorter range. Both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth can be used for things like smart lighting that turns on when you enter a room. Some smart home systems already use this technology to sense presence and adjust heating or lights. So, the idea of detecting people without devices is not something new or only linked to 5G. It's a clever use of physics, found in technologies we trust and use every day. Radio waves are a type of invisible energy, like light, but with much longer wavelengths. When you shine a light on an object, it casts a shadow, bounces off shiny surfaces, or is absorbed by dark ones. Radio waves do something similar, but they can pass through walls and even people, though not perfectly. Think of a radio wave like a ripple moving through a pond. If you put your hand in the water, the ripple changes. Part of the wave bounces off your hand, some goes around, and some is blocked or absorbed. The same thing happens when a person stands between a radio transmitter and a receiver. Our bodies are mostly water, which absorbs and scatters radio energy. When you move in a room full of Wi-Fi or 5G signals, you change the pattern of these waves. Sensors can notice these changes, just like how your eyes notice a shadow or movement. This is the simple science behind RF sensing. The trick is teaching computers to read these changes and figure out if a person is present, moving, or even breathing. The more advanced the signal and sensors, the more detailed the picture they can create. 5G networks are not just faster internet. They use much more advanced technology than older systems. Two of the biggest changes are called massive MIMO and beamforming. These make 5G much better at sending and receiving signals in many directions at once. Massive MIMO, which stands for multiple input, multiple output, means that each 5G tower has dozens, sometimes hundreds, of antennas working together. This lets the tower focus its signals in specific directions, almost like a spotlight instead of a light bulb. Beamforming is the name for this focusing process. Because 5G can send out targeted waves and listen with many antennas, it can notice even small changes in the environment. In labs, scientists have used 5G equipment to sense if someone is walking nearby, count how many people are in a room, or even track gestures, all without any devices. This ability is possible because 5G's signals are more sensitive to movement, and the network is smart enough to process all the tiny changes. It's why some researchers are excited about using 5G for things like smart buildings or health monitoring in hospitals. It's important to remember that what happens in a lab is very different from what happens in the real world. In research labs, scientists control everything. They use special equipment, adjust the antennas, and process the data with powerful computers. But out in the real world, 5G towers are built to connect thousands of devices, not to sense people without their phones. The software and hardware needed for detailed RF sensing just aren't there in public 5G networks. The signals mix together from cars, buildings, and all sorts of wireless devices, making it much harder to see anything clearly. Also, to do any kind of detailed tracking, the tower would need to process huge amounts of personal data. This would be slow, expensive, and honestly, mostly useless for running a phone network. Mobile companies focus on connecting calls, streaming video, and making sure your phone works, not on tracking people without devices. So, while it is possible in theory to use 5G for advanced sensing, it's just not happening with the towers you see on the street today. Let's be clear, there is no evidence that 5G towers are tracking people who don't have devices. This isn't just about technology, but also about laws and rules. In most countries, there are strict privacy laws against watching people without their consent. Mobile networks do collect information from devices that connect to them, like your phone or smartwatch. But without a device, the network simply does not know you are there. The radio signals are everywhere, but the network only listens for registered devices, not random people passing by. Stories about towers tracking people without devices are often based on misunderstandings or fear. Sometimes, people mix up what is possible in a lab with what is actually happening in daily life. Other times, rumors spread because of distrust in new technology. It's important to get our facts from science, not from conspiracy theories. If someone says, 5G towers are watching you, ask them for real proof. So far, there isn't any. While 5G towers aren't tracking us without devices, the new technology does come with real risks. 5G networks use much more software than older networks. This makes them flexible and powerful, but also more open to cyber attacks and software bugs. Because so much of 5G depends on software, hackers might find new ways to get into the network. They could try to steal data, disrupt services, or even take control of parts of the network. Mobile companies and governments are working hard to keep networks safe, but no system is perfect. Another risk is privacy. The more data we share with our networks and devices, the more chances there are for mistakes, leaks, or misuse. For example, if someone hacks into a smart building that uses RF sensing, they might be able to see when people are home or moving around. So, while 5G is not secretly tracking us, it does raise fair questions about how our information is kept safe and who is allowed to see it. The next generation of wireless technology, called 6G, is already in the works. Unlike 5G, 6G is being designed from the start to include advanced sensing. This means networks might one day see objects, people, and even gestures using radio waves as easily as today's cameras. Scientists hope that 6G could help with things like safer self-driving cars, health monitoring without wearables, and smarter cities that save energy. But these benefits also come with new privacy challenges. If networks can sense where we are and what we are doing, how do we make sure this information is used fairly and safely? Experts say we need strong rules, open discussions, and clear choices for everyone. People should know when they are being sensed, what data is collected, and have the right to say no. The debate about privacy and technology is not just for scientists. It's for all of us. As wireless sensing becomes more common, it's more important than ever for the public to be involved in these big decisions. Wireless technology is changing fast. While 5G is more powerful and flexible than anything before, it is not secretly tracking people without phones or devices. The science of RF sensing is real, but it is not being used that way in public networks today. It's easy to feel worried when new technology arrives, especially with so many rumors online. But the best way to protect ourselves is to understand the facts, ask questions, and join the conversation about privacy and security. Technology will keep moving forward, but we all have a right to know how it works and how it might affect our lives. As we look to the future with 6G and beyond, let's make sure the debate about wireless sensing is open, honest, and based on real evidence, not fear. Only by working together can we enjoy the benefits of new technology while keeping our rights safe. What do you think? Does the idea of wireless networks sensing people without devices excite you or worry you?